Thank you very much for watching our webinars. I hope you like it. So my company WAPI is creating all of this, and I'll take my chance and tell you a little bit more about WAPI. If you're selling something, for example, you're selling wonderful sunglasses, you live in Italy and the Italian market is full of your sunglasses and everybody is very happy. So now you want to go global, you want to go international. So what you need to find the right sales channel, and then you need to send all these products to your customers. That's where WAPI comes in. We have integrated a huge amount of sales channels. We have huge amount of partners, service providers in e-com that will help you to expand to any country where you want. Send us an email, ask your question. Our key account manager will help you to grow your business to a new level. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you that you subscribe and stay tuned. Good luck. Hi, everybody. It's WAPI Webinars again with you. My name is Alexander Fridman, and with me today is wonderful guest, Alex Chernenko. Hi, Alex.
Hi, everyone. Alexander, thank you for having me. It's glad to be back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. For those who are watching our webinars already for several years, you can find there that this is not our first webinar with Alex. So I'm very, very happy to see you again with us.
Likewise, it's been more than a year, I think.
Yeah, probably. Time is running very, very fast. So maybe you can share with us what has happened with your company during this period that we didn't talk to you, and I think like a year or something. Some news share with us.
Yeah, well, there's been some good news. We've been growing, and we won a number of large government tenders in Ireland. So I'm pleased to say that we are working with a lot of local government bodies, but at the same time, we continue supporting businesses. And the purpose of today's webinar is to educate listeners about the new changes in the VAT system that's coming. In terms of not so good news, probably everyone has suffered as the result of Russian-Ukrainian war that has affected many businesses. And we in Ireland have witnessed sanctions being applied against our previous customers. We've been working closely with clients of any nationality, including Russia. But after the invasion, doing business with any Russian companies or individuals became almost impossible, and that had some little effect. But nevertheless, the business continues to operate globally, and we now are working more with Ukrainian customers than the Russians, unfortunately, due to restrictions and sanctions.
Alex, just for those who see you for the first time, Alex is CEO and founder of company Chern Co, and co-owner of e-commerce brand Kauza. Can you tell just very short few sentences about your company, what you're doing?
We register companies and we help with European VAT compliance tax filings. So essentially, it's a business consultancy that help entrepreneurs to run businesses in Europe and globally.
And you're based in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
So as you mentioned today, our topic is VAT, the new digital age VAT system that is happening in Europe. And Alex is going to tell us a little bit more about this topic. And I am sure everybody have to listen very carefully, because it is about absolutely every company that is working in Europe in e-commerce. VAT is very important. So let's give Alex the stage.
Well, I think VAT topic is probably something that many business owners, entrepreneurs don't really enjoy, because it's boring to some and it's too complicated for others. But today I would like just to maybe focus, rather than on the technical side of things, more on how it's going to affect businesses and what's actually is common changes, trying to give the information in plain English. And let's start with a little bit of a history that in 2014, European Union adopted a directive that they want to modernize the European tax system. So they made essentially an intent that, hey guys, let's change system, let's make something unified. And that process kind of didn't really happen for the next 3 years. In 2017, a unified standard was adopted for invoices that could be used by every country. And again, for the next 2 years, nothing happened. And in 2019, the documentation and all the work that was happening behind, it finally came to life. And European Union adopted that in the next 18 months, we will be publishing something. And then COVID happened. In 2020, they said, listen, because it's COVID, we are postponing it for another 30 months. And just in December 2022, they actually said what they're planning to do. So can you imagine between 2014 until December 2022, nothing really was announced much to the public. But now finally they said that we would like to modernize VAT system. And the whole idea is instead of every European country to be doing their own system, they would like to create one unified system for every country. And those changes are already started to happen. And the biggest and the first portion of it will commence on January 2014. Maybe just to give an idea what the change affects. It mainly affects the businesses that are working with governments in the European Union. So essentially, if somebody has a contract or a tender, as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, if you are doing business with any government in Europe or planning, you essentially will have to be using a system to be sending invoices to the government. So that's the first change. Second change, it will be mandatory from 1st of January 2028 also to send this new type of invoices and using this unique system if you are doing business with other businesses in the European Union. So let's say if I'm based in Ireland and you're based in Latvia and I'm invoicing you, we no longer will be essentially transacting directly. We will be logging into some portal. I will be sending invoice, and that invoice will get approved by a system before you can actually pay it. So it adds that extra level of control and transparency that there is no more doing things in the backdating stuff, that you will no longer be able to change invoice or issue it after the payment, and that's the main and probably biggest changes that the businesses will have now 4 years to get ready for that system. And it starts with the government and it starts with large contracts that happen, but the small businesses will not really be affected until 2028. But what the European Union has done, they allowed countries to do it earlier than 2028. And some countries actually have done it already, like Italy has joined the system, Poland has joined the system already, France is joining it already in 2014, 2024. So what we now see that the European Union said mandatory in the next 4 years, but if you like, you can start earlier, and European countries are actually starting it. So it will be affecting businesses.
It is about a new invoice system, or it is about new VAT system?
It's about reporting VAT and invoices. So essentially, every European country, has their own time when you have to declare VAT, and it has its own process how to do it. So the idea is that it's not just sending invoices in one format that every European country will use. It's also declaring and paying VAT. So it's one process in every country that's going to make life of businesses easier. Instead of having an accountant in Poland, in Latvia, in Ireland, there will be essentially one way to report, file, and pay VAT for the whole European Union, irrespective. So that's another.
But we will continue to pay VAT to the local government, or we'll start to pay it to Brussels?
It will be a unified system. I'm not sure how exactly they're going to do the split, but the whole idea is that everybody will get access to it, and every country will essentially take the payment for any sales or business that was conducted in that country.
Okay. So, but the main change for the businesses, the e-com sellers, for example.
The main changes is that there will be essentially one way to issue invoices to other businesses, one way to pay, one way to file and report. So that will, businesses that, for example, are in e-commerce and they have multiple warehouse, one in Germany, one in Poland, they have to have accountants in every country. They have to file separate tax declarations to every country where they have stock. And on top of that, they have to do another one-stop shop report for the VAT. So that puts a lot of pressure on kind of businesses and essentially costs to pay accountants, bookkeepers, tax professionals are quite high. The idea is that that will become redundant over the next 4 years, that the businesses will be able to report through one system and they can do it from their own country without the need. So this is kind of one change that's already been implemented. But more changes are coming this year. And the deadline would be, again, by the end of 2023, the European Union will be deciding on a single VAT registration for the whole European Union. So this hasn't been finalized yet. They've given us a deadline that it's going to be decided and finalized by the end of this year. So it's just one VAT number for the whole European Union. That's what they're hoping to present. But when that will become effective, will it also be part of 2028 or will it be a little bit further? We don't know yet, but that's the idea. So it's registering for one VAT number in one country and using that one number just to file everywhere else. That's kind of the best scenario and best news that small businesses could have, but that's going to be probably 4 years or more before it finally happens.
Okay. And what's e-invoicing? What does it stand for? This new procedure, how to issue an invoice?
Yeah, that's essentially electronic invoicing, and it's the system that kind of runs on the back of software that will be connected to a central database of all the tax authorities in European Union. And the idea behind it is just a structured electronic invoice. I mean, at the moment they announced 3 formats: PDF, that most of people probably use, but the second one is UBL, and the one that they expect to be using the most is called XML format. So it's like a programmable invoice with specific fields. And again, they're doing it for the purpose that everybody uses the same format, that when one invoice is issued, it has all the necessary fields, because many businesses, believe it or not, still do mistakes when they issue invoices to each other. And that creates complications for themselves. It creates complications for the tax authorities. And then tax authorities lose a lot of money as the result for businesses not paying VAT. So the biggest driver is probably VAT collection across Europe. That's why they're driving this. They want to see everything that happens. They want to control every single transaction. And they want to approve an invoice before it's issued. But there is some also benefits to the businesses. It's like transparency.
I just wanted to ask you, what do you think? What are the good and bad things about this e-invoicing?
Well, the good things is going to be that once things are approved, it's very easy to proceed. And we work with so many different clients. Like, we now have cases where a client purchased equipment from another country, and their supplier declared wrong information in the VAT return. And we had to work with 3 different tax authorities: Irish tax authorities, Spanish tax authorities, and there was another European country involved. And it's been going on for 9 months and it's still unresolved. So different tax authorities cannot basically agree between each other. At the end of the day, they said, your supplier needs to change the invoice. But supplier said, listen, I'm not going to do anything. I already filed my declaration. So how do you get out of that situation where 3 countries involved, you have a supplier, you have clients, something happened in the past, somebody did a mistake? That takes a lot of time of accountant, tax inspectors, and the clients themselves trying to fix it, and it's still not fixed. So that problem will be gone, that, everything will be transparent and straightforward. Also, the good news is that it will prevent a lot of fraud. So let's say sometimes we had instances, again, with a couple of clients. You let's say you're a business that works for so many years, and then you get an invoice from somebody you worked with, and they tell you, listen, I changed my bank details. Can you pay me here? and you go and pay. And then 2 weeks later, you realize that actually it was a scammer. They just accessed an email of one of your suppliers, put their own bank accounts, sent you invoice. You trusted that supplier, so you just paid. How are you going to get your money back? So preventing the fraud by businesses and essentially making one unique standard and reducing costs of running, that's some of the benefits that we will see. But the biggest one will be when everything will be done under single VAT. But that's a little bit further down the line, I think.
Yeah, totally. It sounds like already one country. If there is one point that is collecting all the taxes and then distributing it among all the other countries in the union, it is some sort of the way towards like making this as one big country. Not a union.
It's not how it's going to work. So the structured invoice, one of the benefits of it is that it already has payment details. So when you create an invoice in the system, the payment details will already be embedded. So the whole idea is the payments actually happen automatically. Once you kind of authorize it on the system and you link your bank account, basically payments could happen automatically. So the whole idea is when it comes to tax payments, it's going to be the same process. You just basically, you have to pay a certain amount of taxes. You go to the system, you click approve, and the money will be taken from your bank. But you don't need to do those. So it actually will save time also making payments. You don't need to go to your bank, create a specific supplier or a couple of suppliers, pay a little bit here, a little bit there. The whole idea is that it's going to also streamline the payment process for the businesses. And because it's European Union, they will put a lot of effort in security. That obviously, if they link to the bank accounts, you will need to be approved first. You need to be a business bank. It's not just you can't use the system to kind of do transactions with individuals. That's not the intention. The intention is only starting with the government and then expanding it to the businesses.
And what are the bad sides of this thing? What is your opinion?
Bad sides, well, small businesses sometimes take a lot of time to negotiate. So let's say you negotiate with your supplier and then you issue invoice and supplier sometimes pays or doesn't pay, and then you have to cancel the invoice. So if you're using the system and then something has to change, you have to kind of go back and remove it from the system. So kind of there will be no possibility for businesses to change things last minute and to backdate stuff as well. So let's say you paid somebody money for specific stock, and then a week later you say, listen, actually, can you change those units for those type of units? Yeah. Now it's kind of easier because businesses do directly with each other, but once it goes to the system, changing something or altering it after approval will be a little bit messy. And fraudsters who have been avoiding paying VAT, they no longer will be able to do it. So of course, it will kind of create more VAT collection for the European Union. And of course, businesses who have been able to use, let's say, loopholes in the VAT system to some level, they will no longer be able to use those loopholes, and tax will have to be paid on every single transaction.
And what do you think? How to prepare for this change in the system? What companies should do? Learn again how to be prepared, how to get ready for the changes.
Well, it depends where the companies are based, because some countries have already been moving forward. For example, Italy has joined e-invoicing since 2019. France is joining in 2024. Portugal, for example, again, entered the system in January this year. They added the kind of unique document code to every invoice and the use of QR codes as well. So countries already kind of started doing their own work. And again, I repeated that the mandatory filing is from 1st of January 2028, but European countries have basically their own right to do it faster. And we see European countries started doing it. Like in Poland, the system is voluntary until December 31st. But from January
Mhm.
2024, the system in Poland becomes mandatory. Again, so Poland
Mm.
is moving faster. Belgium already introduced a mandatory system for businesses that do more than 9 million, for example. France will be switching to mandatory business from July 2024, and they have their call system. So basically, depending on where the businesses are located, they have to see what their governments are doing, because as I mentioned, some European countries are moving faster. In terms of what needs to happen, there is already 7 compliant e-invoicing solutions deployed. So basically, there is already solutions that are available to businesses that they could just essentially go, like KPMG has one of them. There is already 7 of them, and more are being added. So for example, if you're using QuickBooks doesn't have it yet, but we expect that by 2028, they will release, for example, a version that's compatible. 27 countries already deployed business to government European solutions. So it's actually done by the government and on their level. So they already basically developed, purchased, acquired, and made the system available for businesses that transact with the government. European Union also issued more than 11 million in funding to support kind of the development of these solutions. So businesses don't really need to develop anything themselves. They either go to their local tax authority and see what's the current kind of trend, talk to their local consultant and see that when it's going to be mandatory in my country and when it's going to be mandatory in the country where I do business with. That's the two main important.
Where to go? For example, I'm in Latvia. Where to go to ask
Well,
these
you
questions?
should need to go to your either tax authority or your local tax expert who will tell you that Latvia plans to introduce this and this on this date. And if you're transacting with, let's say, another country, you also need to be registered on their system. The whole idea is that European Union doesn't want, for example, Latvian business to be registered on Polish system. So the idea is that countries kind of make their own businesses to register with them, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a transaction through your local tax authority. Because, for example, you in Latvia don't speak Polish. So what's the point in forcing you to join some new system in Poland? That is actually counterproductive, and they don't want to do it.
Yeah, if I need to be registered in 27 systems, like
yeah. So the idea is that
what is the idea?
You need to be registered through your local system, through that unified portal, and that portal will then be talking to the other tax authorities. That's the idea. But what businesses should be doing right now is essentially keeping up with what the countries are doing, because a lot of changes will be happening by the end of this year and starting from January next year. And most of the countries are actually making a choice to enforce mandatory registration before 2028.
But how it will work when, like, Poland made it mandatory on January 24 and Latvia has not. So to trade with Poland, it means that Latvian business also is
no,
like in the situation that it is mandatory to work. Otherwise, I can't pay the invoice to Polish companies.
No, the idea is that Polish companies who trade with businesses outside of Poland, for example. So if a Polish company trades with Latvia, they have to notify the local tax authority that this is the invoice they intend to be sending, let's say, to somebody in Latvia. So basically, they have to inform and provide additional details to their local tax authorities, but you don't need to do anything on top of what you're already doing. So think of it this way: they're like testing the system locally, and at the same time, they're replacing their current VAT reporting. So the way the VAT has been reported up until now, where businesses basically do everything in their own system and then just given the final numbers. That's how it used to be. So maybe trying to understand it is that before we just did something in our own computers and then filed the numbers that we believed are true to the tax authorities. Now tax authorities will be seeing what we're actually doing on a business to business scale throughout the year. and the VAT from those transactions will become automatic. So businesses will only kind of need to be reporting on individual sales on top of that. And as you know, individual sales are now reported by marketplaces. So it's kind of interesting that the idea is that a lot of things will be automatically reported, automatically filed, and you only do like a little part.
I hope in the result they will take the money from our bank accounts, not at the moment when they need it, but when we can pay it. Otherwise, they will kill some big part of the businesses, just taking cash from the bank account in the moment when it was not possible to do it.
Yeah, well, any automatic payments will have to be approved by whoever is submitting the return. But like now they're enforcing, if you transacted with another, let's say, business partner in another European country, you have 3 days to report it. So the way they did it, it used to be 2 months, and with this new system, they've been reducing, and some countries they already allow maximum of 3 days. So if you transacted, you have 3 days to basically give the details to the tax authorities. Now it's going to be the other way around. You have to kind of submit the invoice 3 days before you intend
in
to
advance.
contract. So basically, you first get approval. You say, can I buy this from that country, or can I sell this to another country? And they say, yes, you can. And then you basically go and proceed to that. That's kind of where it's headed, unfortunately. So you have to ask Big Brother that I'll be buying this, I'll be selling this, and
I think there will be so many additional things to improve there. For example, I ask, can I buy from Alex, I don't know, 1,000 tables and 1,000 chairs, and then you send it to, I buy it, you send it to me, and there is 980 tables and not enough chairs or more chairs. What we will do, go again to the system and change the invoice. You will send me the second invoice there. They will have like thousands of issues to fix.
Yeah, well, nobody has an answer to that. How exactly kind of changes and alterations will happen? That's probably the biggest challenge that the system will have to be going through, because you plan to do one thing, but then last minute something happens, and in business it does happen. But the idea is that it's going to be real-time reporting, so they will see everything that's happened, and there will be a process for changes. So it shouldn't be rocket science, because now essentially some businesses started testing the system already this year. Some countries are joining next year, so they will have kind of really 4 years to do all the trial and error. All the countries are testing, learning from their mistakes, providing the feedback. So by the end, when in January 2028 this becomes mandatory for every country, some countries already will have a lot of cases where they can say, this worked, this doesn't, we need to change it. So the businesses just have to see what others are doing.
Yeah, so in this situation, what would you suggest, to be in the front line of testers of the system, or to sit calm and wait until everybody will make their mistakes and you will learn from the from the mistakes of others?
Well, when it comes to something new, there is always kind of innovators, people who just jump on anything, even before something is in alpha or beta stage, they already say it, they do it. Then we have like early adopters who kind of, once something is in the beta stage, they say, yeah, give it to me. And then there are kind of late adopters who kind of see when the early adopters already, there is some quantity of them. And then there is laggers, like finally who are the last ones to join. I intended to be kind of the third one, so I really like the system to be working smoothly before I implement it, but I like testing things. So in our case, I would kind of wait until 2 or 3 countries have done it for 2 years, then start playing with it ourselves. When there is already a good solution available, and you can just essentially play with it.
Okay. So I think you have researched a lot about this story, so maybe something more for the companies, like what challenges stand in front of them. Okay, they understood that they have to find the local authority and ask when it will happen. Maybe something more. What you can, how you can help everybody now. What you have found.
Well, myself, I'm attending a lot of webinars, and actually, European Commission has done 41 webinars themselves. So they
Wow.
understand that this is a a very difficult topic. It's changing a lot of things. So European Union is actually educating businesses and creating content themselves. So, instead of going to, let's say, somebody who watched 5 webinars and record their own webinar, there is also possibility to just go to the European Commission and see the information first source and actually follow
Okay.
their webinars and see, is this
You
applicable
you
to
will you will share it with us so we can write it down under the video.
Yeah, I can give you the link and it will
Okay.
be available under this video. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Likewise, sometimes it's very difficult to digest the official information. So talking to the likes of VAT consultants and myself, I would like to extend to your audience an offer that we can provide a free consultation, essentially in relation to VAT. If a business already is trading with governments, if the business is currently being affected by this change, and they are either looking to start using the system, or they've been told that they need to start using it and they basically don't know where to start, they could essentially fill in the form, and one of our tax advisors will be actually giving them the best outcome specifically for their own cases. At the moment, it's just education. If you're based in Poland or France or Portugal, countries where changes already happened or about to happen, then of course talk to your local accountant and your tax attorney and just make sure that you are not behind.
Yeah, maybe you know some I don't know, Facebook groups, Reddit wall, or some place where to read where people communicate about this topic. Maybe you can share it
Actually,
also with
Actually, this is a little bit frustrating because it's new. There is not that many experts or essentially consultants who would be given a lot of information. The majority, this seems to, because it's the first changes were relation to business to government. So as you probably would expect, the big accounting firms like KPMG, they would have expertise in this, but typically small businesses wouldn't be going to the top accounting and audit firms because sometimes they're not affordable, sometimes it's too early for them. So the idea is that if you go online now and try to search information, it mainly comes to the big audit accounting firms, or it's the European Commission themselves. And then you can find a couple of interesting, like I found a couple of 2 Romanian bloggers who are actually been starting doing content on this. And there is a couple of Indian accountants, interesting. So there is like a Romanian and Indian accountants who actually talked on this subject. I don't know how it happened, but it's actually an interest. So those are the 2 kind of private individuals that are actually talking about this. And the majority of the content is actually large accounting audit firms that for small businesses would be not fully applicable. So there is not much knowledge out there except the official knowledge that businesses could research themselves.
Okay, so the only way to find information that is the information that is worth something is to go to the local tax auditors and local authorities that can help you. Like from what I hear from Alex, it's not the best way just to search in internet for the info.
Well, European Commission website has a lot of good content on this subject. So researching it, and I think we could put under this video, we could put a couple of official links so that people could actually start browsing. Now, one more point I would like to mention, that countries outside of European Union started also adopting similar approach, like Saudi Arabia. Already from January 23, they actually did mandatory invoicing for kind of businesses that have more than 300 billion SAR. But from July of this year, smaller businesses that have only 500,000 of billion SAR, they also have to go on the system. So what we now see, that everybody kind of liked this approach of, one invoice format, one system to file. And once European Union kind of adopted it and created those solutions, other countries started watching and said, why don't we do the same thing? Because we have a mess in our system. Let's use what European Union is doing also in our countries. And UK hasn't really announced what they will be doing, but it's expected that UK will also follow the European invoicing and digital VAT. So we can now project and predict that once European system is working and it's running smoothly, other countries will follow, because it's gonna, from the way it sounds, if it's gonna work exactly as they say it will work, it will actually be a good thing.
And will it somehow affect the customers, the final customers?
The individuals, no. The idea is that it's not going to affect individuals, not in any single way, simply because it's mainly relating to businesses. And individuals are already reporting VAT through marketplaces, especially e-commerce sellers.
But if I'm buying something big, like, I don't know, kitchen, they're usually making an invoice. So will they also make this invoice in some system, and like a customer will have to go to a system to receive this
the
invoice?
Expectations, yes, they say that it's not, the B2C is not addressed in the invoice and building block at the moment, and that's the official information. But again, we could guess that once the B2B model is fully up and running, that individuals, instead of using kind of customs declaration port, it will be like an add-on solution to the existing customs declarations.
Yeah, probably they will sell it to customers like, hey guys, you will have one portal for all the invoices from all the companies. You will not receive them like everywhere in WhatsApp, in email, anywhere. You will have like invoices.com, and you will get all the invoices there, and you'll have possibilities to pay. Probably customers will say, let's go. And then the European government will see everything transparent all over the countries. What's happening?
The expectations is, at the end of the day, everything will become transparent and visible. Now, to answer your question, is there any changes that will affect individuals? Yes. So as part of this digital VAT reform that's coming, one of the next changes, apart from invoices, is actually changing rules in relation to VAT for passengers of transport and short-term accommodation. So Uber users, Airbnb users, they used to be kind of, paying directly to the marketplace, but typically there is no VAT declared, or sometimes VAT was not paid. So let's say if you're a small apartment owner and you rent your place, you're not VAT registered, you have basically tourists coming from all over the world. You just use Airbnb website to rent your accommodation. Well, the change that is coming under this big digital VAT reform is that transport companies like Uber, Bolt, and everybody else, and websites like Airbnb will now be doing exactly the same thing what Amazon is doing, collecting VAT. So what probably is going to happen, that taxi costs and accommodation costs again will go higher, because some of the businesses that were essentially renting their places did not charge VAT. And how many taxi drivers you expect are VAT registered?
I don't know. Nobody.
Well, less than half. So this is one of the big changes that's going to affect individuals, is that there will be VAT on all the rights and VAT on all the accommodation. And that hasn't been the case up until now. So this is another part of this digital VAT report that's kind of outside of invoicing and B2B. and that's going to affect a lot of people. Now they don't have exactly the date. This is just announced that it's coming. When it's coming, so the two things that they are not clearly defined yet is the single VAT registration for the whole European Union and changes to the transport accommodation. These are the two topics that the European Commission is kind of promising to decide by the end of this year. So this is kind of the stuff that we are currently watching out. And once we have news, I'm happy to share actually, once they decide what's going to happen, we can do another webinar, actually say, this is when it's coming and what exactly.
I think you should make something like a Facebook wall or a Reddit wall to write there all the news, what's happening on this topic, because a lot of people will follow it.
Yeah, we're only starting now, and we already kind of published a couple of just teasers, but the whole idea is, yes, that we will be watching it closely, and when things will be announced, we will be sharing them with our readers.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing this with us. So as I understand, this is a long journey for all the Europeans and probably for the citizens of other countries also. The governments want to have everything very transparent, and not even afterwards. After we do the business, but in advance before we do business. And this journey will take a lot of years. Like 700 million people, 27 countries. It will take a lot of years, and we already see it like from your first sentence that the idea has come when 2014 and today is 2023. So maybe we're somewhere in the middle. Yeah, somewhere in 2035 we'll definitely have everything transparent, and everybody who is doing business must control this situation and listen, follow, obey the new rules.
Alexander, can I ask you a question? From July 2021, VAT rules changed. You as a business, has it affected you in a major way? The kind of the most recent changes that reduced the cost of goods for declaration, moving liability to marketplace, reducing the threshold, like the biggest change that happened in July 2021. Did it affect you? Much?
You see, with us it is very simple. We're not a trading company, so we're not trading. We're aggregator of logistic services and marketing agency that is helping sellers to start selling on the marketplaces like Allegra. And during this year, we're adding Cdiscount, Bol, Kaufland, Emac to our portfolio. So we're logistics aggregator and marketing agency. So the main changes has come to the trading companies. Yes, the OSS, the new scheme of paying the taxes. And still, even with the OSS, they have to have the VAT numbers in the countries where they store the goods. Even though I absolutely don't understand what is the reason for this, because with the OSS, everybody is paying to each country, like to Germany, to France, and like it makes additional cost and additional headache to register for the VAT in the country where you want to store the goods. If you have OSS, nobody understands it. But probably they will fix it in some.
Well, you see, when something new gets introduced, they think of kind of all the good things, but they sometimes don't think of all the scenarios. And what happened in 2021 when the changes to the VAT registration one-stop shop implemented, it did something good, because some businesses that were, let's say, selling goods from one country to all the other ones, they just have one VAT registration and then they have one-stop shop to pay VAT, and it worked. But if you had multiple warehouses, that didn't work, as you suggested. So with the single VAT registration, that kind of will be eradicated at some stage. So changes don't happen quickly. Like now, only 2 years later, after 2021, everyone is a little bit more comfortable and everything is already settled. So we're gonna see something like that now from the kind of 2024 is gonna be a year when many businesses will start rolling into this program. I mean, not businesses, countries. So countries will start rolling, and kind of by the end of 2024, we already will have a lot of data, and kind of countries will learn from the mistakes. But between
fasten the seat belts and get prepared.
Yeah, and I think, you know, tax authorities, they are getting a little bit greedy, because, you know, once marketplaces started collecting VAT, they actually realized that the VAT budget of countries increased. So now when Amazon, eBay, and kind of other marketplaces are collecting VAT, tax authorities made bigger pockets. So then they say, okay, where else we can get VAT from? Let's now see what all the businesses are doing and we make it mandatory for them. Okay, let's make taxi drivers pay VAT. Let's make small apartment owners pay VAT. So you see every kind of year they add more VAT collection points. And that's the trend that is unfortunate, but that's what they're doing.
This one will affect the customers and everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna adapt. I think businesses are flexible, and I always I'm amazed when I see how businesses react to all these changes. They always find a way. They always adapt, and they still manage to make money and grow their businesses, essentially, irrespective of what changes the governments are implementing. The businesses are still figuring it out.
This is the way of development. both parties are working on developing the better future, just on different sides of it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing with us the information about new VAT and the invoice system in Europe. Maybe you can give us like one short takeaway how to be successful with the new digital age of VAT.
Well, I think information is the king at the moment, and the maybe the first and primary takeaway that I can give to this is stay on top on the information. Learn before it's too late. If you are a late adopter, once everybody did it and you only coming into play, you will be missing out. Successful entrepreneurs, they wake up early and, you know, remember like reading newspaper at 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock and getting information before other people are actually waking up. In the current digital age, information is available directly. You don't need to wait for a newspaper to be printed. You can get access directly from official sources. So learn and educate yourself on what's coming. Because once you have the information, you can make wise decisions. You know, learning and consuming the right information, not TikTok movies, no, but business information, news that's going to affect and using it to grow your businesses.
Be fast, be the first to learn the new information that can affect your business. The takeaway number one. Takeaway number two, what not to do. Don't do this mistake, never. If you want to be successful, don't do this mistake. What will be the takeaway?
I think, you know, procrastinating and wasting time on unuseful things. There is now so much entertainment, so much pleasures, and we see people that just, especially like watching TV. I don't watch TV for so long, and I'm glad that I do it because it's just a time killer. So, you know, on one side, consume the right information, but the opposite, you know, don't consume entertainment content that actually just fills your mind with something that's not going to bring any value to your life.
Yeah, that's very important and rather difficult for a lot of people. So the third one, after we search for the information, learn it very fast, we block all the bad entertainment information. We need the third takeaway, how to be successful in life in general. What to do? Share your secret.
Secret is enjoy what you're doing. It's actually if you like what you're doing, you'll be happy, and there is inevitable kind of wealth and joy that comes from it. And I've seen it in so many different. I've seen businesses who were making money, but it wasn't something that the kind of the person wanted to do. And at some stage, they just said, you know what, I'm gonna start carving wood. So a guy who was like, say, an IT engineer, very successful programmer, but all his life he was doing something that he didn't really enjoy. He was making good money, and then at the age of like 43, he started carving wood. And imagine 2 years later, he won 2 championships in a row for wood carving in Ireland. Person just had this talent all life, never used it, and some stage decided to do actually what he's passionate about, what he loved, which was completely different. So at the end of the day, doing something that you really like and enjoy, it's inevitably going to make you successful. Even if you think it's some sort of childish hobby that could still make you money. So I would suggest everybody to don't put your hobbies or desires on the shelf. Start them earlier, even if you think you don't have time for them right now.
Cool, wonderful. I love this one. Don't put your hobbies on the shelf. Enjoy what you do, love what you do, and don't waste your talent. This was wonderful 3 takeaways from Alex Chernenko. Alex, do you want to share something with the audience? Maybe you have something like promo code or some offer for everybody?
Yeah, we're going to be posting a link to book a free consultation with one of our experts on the field of VAT. And it's not just the invoicing that we talk about. Today was an interesting topic of the new changes, but we are helping businesses to solve their VAT problems, get registered, file taxes, etc., etc. So if you need any help in relation to taxes or company registration, fill in the form under this video. And we look forward to seeing you again when more news will come from VAT digital age, and after the European Union decides what else they want to change.
Cool. Thank you very much. All the details under the video, all the contacts, all the links, you can find it. And as always, WAPI, in WAPI, we enjoy and love to help you with the logistics all over the Europe, the warehouses, fulfillment, pick, pack, and send your shipments very fast, 24, 48 hours in every country. Will help you to localize your trading in every country. We help you to start selling on the local marketplaces. And please contact me, LinkedIn, you can find my contacts also here. Contact WAPI. We will be very, very passionate and glad to help you to grow your e-com business. Thank you, Alex, and hope to see you sooner than in 1 year time now for our next webinar.
Thank you for having me. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.